Welcome everybody. Go ahead and feel free to sign in. We'll get started here in just a moment. All right, Agent Snail, first one in. Congrats. All looks good. I enjoy spending a few minutes every weekend with you, everybody. Saturdays we have the office hour, and then Sundays is the quiz. So it's great to have you. Mr. Webster, welcome, welcome. Everyone, so glad you're here. If you're new to the channel, my name is Keith Barker. It's good to meet you. I am a double CCIE. That basically boils down to an individual who just won't give up and is okay doing a tremendous amount of study for long periods of time. But I got my CCIE, my first one, back in 2001, which is over 20 years ago, and Cisco was the single best technical decision I ever made in my life. So I spend time on YouTube and the Discord server, just helping individuals, primarily with CCNA, in getting that first step in the right direction, in IT. And the 999J Strict is saying, Keith, could you record and edit this one, please? Yeah, I'll do that. Let me hit the button right now. Thank you for that. So oftentimes, if I'm doing another quiz where we've had another one like it, I will, if it's already edited, I'll just go ahead and use the edited one in my library. So, thank you, Blendinator. That's very kind. There's a list of like 40 plus quizzes in my playlist right here on YouTube, but it's all free. And I will record this one. This is going to be a little bit different. I was in Discord yesterday in the office hour, and I asked, hey, what do you want for a topic? And several of our crew there recommended that I do a combination of technologies with show commands, like based on this output, based on this output, based on this output. And so it's going to be a little smattered? It's going to be all over the board today, technology-wise. A little OSPF, a little spanning tree, a little layer 2 ether channel, based on show commands. So I hope you enjoy it. I've never done one like this before, where it's a lot of different technologies, but I think it'll be fun. So thanks for the recommendations yesterday, and I'm excited about delivering it. So we're going to start here in just a few moments. Again, good to have you. If you're brand new to the channel, this channel these days is all about CCNA technologies, fundamentals, getting people up and running, and I wish you the best of success in whatever IT challenge you're on. It's also a good idea to refresh from time to time, and it's good to have you. So thanks again, Blendinator, for the super sticker. Appreciate you. All right, Frosty's asking, how old are you? Well, some mornings I feel pretty old, and some days I feel pretty young. I was born in 1964, so I'll let you do the math on that one. I was born in March of 1964. All right. Well, let's get this party started. We've got about over 100 people logged in, and we've got or just close to that. I think that'll increase as we go forward. All right, let's go. The way this works is the questions will be presented on either on your screen or on your mobile device if you're logging in that way. The pin code is up at the top right, or the top. It'll be at the bottom once we start the game. I would encourage you not to answer in the chats, because that's where people can ask questions and things, and I don't want to give anything away there. So let's go ahead and start, and let me do an intro. I'll do an intro later. Here we go. All right, this is the Kahoot. This is all about show commands called got output? ? I hope you do great on these. Here is question number 1 of 13. It is multiple select. Choose at least 2 or more before you submit. Based on this output. Which of the following are true? So there's at least 2 that are true, maybe more. Good luck, everybody. All right, they're all true. I will go ahead and record. I am recording this. I will edit this at some point and put it up live as well. Let's just take a moment and peek and see why the answers that they say are true, just for a moment. So switch 1's base MAC address ends in E680. And so if I get my, let me get out a pen real quick. A pen, that color will do. All right. This E680 right here, this bridge ID, this is for the computer we're looking at. The first one talks about the root bridge, and then the second one talks about us. And if we are the root bridge, it'll be the same. So this is switch 1. Its base MAC address is this. You can see it with, I think, a show version of the software. So that's the base MAC address. It's part of the bridge ID. The priority in combination with the MAC address. And other questions it asked about, it also said that switch 1 is directly connected to the root. So if we are looking at the cost to get to the root right here off of port channel 12, and the local cost is 12, that implies that we are directly connected to the root bridge on that interface or that port channel logically. And let me take a peek at the rest here. Switch 1 is using the default priority. Which it is. So there's the 32.7. It's actually 32,768, which is right here. And then they also include the actual VLAN number along with that. So that is the default priority for a switch. And it's also using rapid spanning tree. And that's shown right here. Spanning tree enabled protocol RSTP, which is rapid spanning tree. Or as his friends call him, 802.1W. All right, that was a lot of information right there. Let's see how we're doing. All right, the classy sloth. Whoa, stop the truck. I am a huge sloth fan, as you can see by this guy right here. So classy sloth, way to go. You're in first place, 3,036 points. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a great day. Great game. Wonder Fox, Power Possum, Flying Koala, and Agile Puffin are all in the top 5, but it's still early. Here's question number 2. Based on the output that's about to pop up, what is true? I'm looking for a single answer here, I believe. Yep, I just peeked at all the answers. I'm just looking for one answer. right, I have a question in the queue from the previous questions. Sid is asking, so port channel interface cost is 12 with a question mark. It depends on what kind of ether channel you have. So port channel is an ether channel bundle. So it could be made up of fast Ethernet, or it could be made up of gigabit Ethernet, or somebody could have just hard-coded the actual cost there. So it depends on the type of interfaces, how many interfaces, and so forth. All right, so based on this question, if we show media, the only true answer is routers running OSPF. And the reason I think that's, I say that a little bit joking. This is what we talked about in Discord yesterday. And the question was, can we get us a quiz based on a bunch of output? So I look at this, just between us, in this room, I look at this, I think, oh my gosh, there's just, TLDR, it's just so darn much output. But we really don't have to, it's not like reading a book where you have to really read the whole book to kind of get it. You just kind of look at the pieces that make sense to you or that you need to for that part. So what do we know about this? I know that it has an IP address. That's it right there. I know that the MTU is 1500 bytes. Fantastic. I can see here that it's joined some multicast groups. Now, computers with IPv4 don't just join multicast groups for fun. There's an application or something that's going on. And so 224.0.0.5 is the multicast group that all OSPF speaking routers join. And if you're special and you've gone to medical school or you have a degree or a doctorate, you can become a DR or a backup DR, a designated router, all kidding aside. And that's why this is showing up. And DR has joined that group. So this router is running OSPF. And it's a DR or BDR. And then the rest of this is not really relevant to the question. So that's how I would approach that. And as let me go back to my right tool here. Part of the secret in doing well with technology, a vendor certification is learning it, labbing it up, but also just, digging into something that's new and keep on going. That's really, and the more experience you have and the more practice you have with that technology, the better you'll get with it. And then you'll be able to apply those skills in a real world environment once you get hired for a job in the real world. So that's why green is the right answer. All right, let's see how we're doing. Oh, Wonder Fox, 3,875 points. Power Possum, Agile Puffin, Bronze Dragon, and Caring Ant, because he cares. All right, let me see if there's any other. Thank you very much for posting the pin. The pin number currently is down the bottom right if you need to join. If you're just coming in late, feel free to join us, and that's where you want to answer the questions. All right, here's question 3 of 13. Why would a port such as 2/0/2 in this output, why is it missing? Good luck. All right, why would a port such as 2/0/2 be missing from this output? 2 correct answers on the board. If it's a trunk, it won't show up in that output. That's one reason. Or it's a layer 3 interface. With somebody went to the switch port and said, no, switch port. So it's like, what do I do? What do I do? I guess I better be a layer 3 port. And those are 2 reasons why gig 0/202 wouldn't show up in this list with show VLAN brief. We could do a show interface status, and that would show you all the interfaces and what they're currently doing. But show VLAN brief, trunks, and layer 3 ports are not going to show up there. Okay, how did we do? Bronze Dragon, crushing it, 5,260 points. All right, and Legend Sloth is also in the mix. And Classy, oh my gosh, it's like a sloth party. I'm so happy about that. I really am, no lie. All right, here we go. Question number 4 of 13. Multiple select. at least 2 correct answers, maybe more. What is true based on this output? So Bly is asking if I've been vaccinated, and I have. I was able to get vaccinated a couple months ago because of my age, and all my kids are vaccinated. I've got 7 children, and my youngest is 18, so they're all set. My wife is vaccinated. Most of my friends are vaccinated, and we can hopefully get the world back to more normal places eventually. And Javiz and everybody else who wants to answer in the chats, please refrain. So you can do that just by opening up kahoot.it, opening a web page there, opening the app on a smart device, and the PIN number for the game is in the bottom right-hand corner. And Rohit, that would apply to you too, please. All right. Based on the output, what is true? 23 was the layer 2 ether channel, 12 was the layer 3 ether channel, and 23 was using a link access control protocol. And the best way to actually determine that is to lab it up. If you practice with this and lab it up and do the show commands, that's the best way to start really appreciating what those show commands are telling us. So here the R is for routed, for 23, the S is for you. I cropped out all that information from this image because I wanted to make it a little bit challenging. And then down for protocol, it says link access control protocol here for 23, and there's a dash, which means on. We aren't using any protocol, and port aggregation protocol would show up as well if we were using it. All right, let's see who's in the top 5. It looks like Daring Bison, Bronze Dragon, Agile Puffin, Agent Snail, and Wonder Llama. Nice, nice, nice. Here we go. Question 5 of 13, almost halfway there. We're getting there. What is the cost of the route for 10.1.5.0 with a 24-bit mask? What is the cost? And Dinamar is asking, is there multiple choice on the CCNA? And the answer is, based on what Cisco has published, they're going to be asking you questions that are single choice, and they'll let you know what those are. They'll have round buttons to choose. They'll have multiple choice, and they'll tell you, like choose 2, choose 3, and those will have check boxes so you can check the answers. And they may have some drag and drops where you drag the correct answer on the right definition or what have you. But no simulations. But they're very clear in the live exam. They'll be very clear about how many answers they're looking for. All right, the cost for the route. Let's take a look at that again. So the network was 10.157. So if we look at that, that network is right here at the bottom. Now, when I started using Cisco routers back in the day, when I first got my, 1999, they didn't order the routes. They were not in numerical order. It's like, go find the route. Okay, I will. But here it is down. Now it's all in order. So 10.157 has an administrative distance of 110, which means it's very likely it was learned via OSPF. And the cost is 3. That's the metric or cost value that's used by OSPF right there. And it's 3. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and proceed. Here's the next question. Daring Bison has the highest answer streak of 5 in a row. Let me just take a moment and say to that, way to go, Daring Bison. Way to dare. Very impressive. All right, here we go. Question 6. It is multiple select. Based on the output, which of the following answers are true? and the average Joe 771 is saying, "Hi Keith, passed my CCNA last Sunday with a score that was passing. Your videos were invaluable for preparing for the test. Thank you." Oh, thanks for letting me know. I'm always tickled and very, very happy for individuals who put in the work. They've studied, they practiced, they showed up, and then they demonstrated those skills. And my coaching for all those people who have passed their exam, keep on learning. It's a lifelong opportunity to get better and better. We make our good better and our better best. Never stop. And Ali is asking, do I need to memorize like RFC numbers? I mean, if you know a few RFC numbers, that's not going to hurt you. But Cisco certification and the blueprint, they are really asking about, do you understand the technology? And it's more about that and how it works and how to configure it versus memorizing an RFC. So I would say it's, in my opinion, memorizing RFCs would not be critical for the exam. Okay, based on the output, which answers are true? There's one neighbor and the router is a DR, a designated router. Let's take a look at the output. And again, the best way to learn this is just to lab it up and then do these commands. So this is saying I want to see the IP-related interface specific to OSPF, specifically about this interface. All right, so there's its IP address. That interface is associated with area 0. There's the router process ID. So when the configuration went in, it went router OSPF 1, and the router ID is 3333. It selected that either through a router configuration or the highest IP address on a loopback, or if there's no loopbacks, it was the highest IP address on any IPv4 interface when OSPF was started. So we don't know exactly how it got there, but that's the router ID. The default network type for Ethernet is broadcast. Fantastic. This guy he's a doctor. I say that as a joke. He's a DR, a designated router. His default priority is 1, which is pretty high, but everybody's is 1 by default. And then this guy's talking about himself. I love this part. It's like, yeah, I'm the designated router, and the designated router's ID is this, and the interface address is this. But he's still talking about himself because he is the DR. There is a backup designated router, and that's at 4444. That's the router ID. And the interface that BDR is using is that. I've got default timers of hello, dead, and wait. That's great. And it says down here, I've got a neighbor count of 1, and then an adjacent neighbor count is 1. So we could have 2 devices that are both like DR others, and there would be a neighbor count, but they wouldn't be fully adjacent. But this guy, because he's the DR and the other guy's the BDR, they're fully adjacent. Oh, and also says right here, adjacent with neighbor 4444, who's the backup designated router. All right, great information. Lots of fun there. And why would that be important? I guess that's important to talk about. It's important because if there's a problem or something's not working, we'd want to be able to look at output like this and help identify why. I have a video I did for the office hour a couple weeks ago. It was about OSPF and all the parameters they have to match. And I made a little mnemonic or acronym to help remember like 6 things that have to match. So check out that video. It's in the playlist if you're interested. Okay, moving on. Here we go. Who's in first place? Daring Bison. Yep. Almost 10,000 points. Here we go. Question 7, multiple select. Based on this output, which answers are true? Good luck, everybody. Nada. Thank you. Nada saying, yeah, the mnemonic was, or the acronym was TANMAT, T-A-N-M-A-T, to help remember the 6 things that have to match for OSPF neighbors to become adjacent. Nada, if you know that, and you do, good for you. That's going to be super helpful anytime you're dealing with OSPF problems or questions about neighborships. Good for you, and thanks for that feedback. Oh, this is the same question. No, this is the same question. Oh my gosh. So I put this together in a fever last night. Hey, everybody. This is the exact same question. Good point. Armin, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, Samuel. Yes, thank you. Go for it. Points on the board. Yeah, I apologize. That's the same question. I'll just edit this out and post. I can see the challenge here. It's like, wait. Something's got to be different. He wouldn't give us the same exact question twice. Not intentionally. My bad. That was on me. Look at the answers. Just crushing it. Lots of points. Okay. And Bronze Dragon's taking the lead. Okay, that shouldn't happen, but more than that once. Here's question 8. Based on the output, which IP interfaces are included in OSPF? Thanks, Ben. Ben says, I blame the sloth. Oh my gosh. Hey, thanks everybody for spending a few minutes with me today. It's great to have you. A beautiful stair step. Boop, 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 boop. Before we take a look at why the answers here are correct, Adino asked a really good question from the previous graphic. And this, this is from the OSPF question. And I love it when people are looking at output and say, wait, why is that? Because that question of discovery, like, why is that? And if we have two routers that boot up at the same exact time or similar, so router 1 and router 2, and they're connected, probably with a switch. So they're connected. They both boot up. They're both running OSPF, and there's no DR at the moment. They're going to have an election, and the one that has the highest priority is going to become the designated router for the segment. Now, if they both have a priority of 1, which they do by default on this interface, this is like gig 00, gig 0/2 or whatever. If they have the same priority when they boot up, then they have to duke it out and say who's going to win and who's going to become the DR. And by default, the device that has the highest router ID is going to win and become the DR. However, and so let's imagine this is 2222 as its router ID, and this guy's 1.1.1.1, just to make it easy. So how is it possible that this guy could win the DR election when this guy has a higher router ID? And the answer is that guy got powered on later. So when this guy comes up, and then let's say a full minute later, or 10 minutes later, then we bring up the other router, even if it has a higher priority, let's say a priority of 6 on the interface, and its router ID was 2222, OSPF doesn't preempt. So if there's a designated router in place, a new guy on the block isn't going to say, hey, I'm better than you, I'm going to preempt and kick you out and take over the responsibility of that. OSPF wants stability. So if there's an existing DR, the other one won't take over. So a couple of reasons why the other one would, why this guy would be the win would be because he came up first or had a higher priority here, or the other one was rebooted or something like that. So great questions. I love the observance of, like, why is this? Those are great questions. Okay, so based on the output here, which interfaces are included in OSPF? I think this is a really good question. What is this testing? This is testing OSPF. This is testing subnetting with IPv4. And I think rather than try to explain all this right here, if you are new to subnetting and new to IPv4, variable length subnet masking, and how that all works, there is a definite playlist that is just for you, and it is totally free. Everything on my YouTube, my whole channel is focused these days on CCNA, helping CCNAs, and it's all free. So the playlist is called Subnet Saturdays. Now, that does not mean you can only watch it on a Saturday. It simply means that I created them over a period of like 11 Saturdays. Every Saturday I would crank out another one, and I just did them, video 1, then video 2, then video 3 in order. I just created the IPv4 subnetting playlist that I would have wanted to have when I was first learning subnetting, which I learned in Fullerton, California back in the 80s. And subnetting hasn't changed a whole bunch since then. It still works. But if you are interested in subnetting, that's a great way to do it. And then I also have a metric ton of videos, maybe not a metric ton, but a lot of videos regarding OSPF and the network statements and how they operate. But this command right here is a winner. Show IP protocols, shows all your dynamic routing protocols, the network statements that were used for it, and other parameters for it. So I want to share that with you. Please take advantage of those playlists. To make it easy to find me, please subscribe if that's something you're up for. And that way you can find me a little easier with all the hundreds of thousands of videos that are uploaded every single week and day to YouTube. You can find some on my channel if you subscribe. And again, they're all free. All right, let's continue on. Scoreboard at the top, Agent Snail, followed by Agent Puffin, Majestic Bat, Rapid Hair, and the kind. I think that was a rooster. All right. Question 9, Multiple Select. Which are likely based on this output? And I want exactly just 2 answers for this one. And Anurag is saying, nice content. I've watched it all. Fantastic. I enjoyed making it. I do. It's a lot of fun. Also helps keep me current. Helps me remember how things work if I have to revisit it periodically, which is good. Dinamra, I prefer Footlock Friday. Love it. And Joshua, I have, I don't think I've ever been to Frazier Park. I grew up in California. I graduated from high school in 1982. I know some of you weren't born in 1982, and that's cool too. But I went to Camarillo High School in Southern California. For sure. That's where I got a little bit of my accent. For sure. Although I'm very nerdy, always have been. And Rafiq, join the game. Just go to kahoot.it, put in the pin code, and answer the questions there. All right, based on the output, which are likely, cabling connecting gig 0/1 may be over 100 meters, and there may be a duplex mismatch. What? How can you tell that from this output? I guess the first question is, where do we look? So this is show interface gig 0/1. I remember when I started learning the Cisco CLI, the command line interface, I remember just thinking there's just millions of possible commands. I'll never learn them all. And it's true. I never learned them all. And I've been doing it for a while. But there are several commands that we can do. And one of them is show interface. And if you press enter, it's going to show you the details for all the interfaces. But if you do show interface and then just one interface, it'll filter just for that output. So there's a lot of output here. It's showing us the BIA is the burned in layer 2 address, the MAC address. So you can change it. So currently it's saying I'm using this address and the burned in address is the same. So we're using that layer 2 MAC address on this interface. Here's the IP address. And as a result, this interface believes it's connected to the 10.12.0 network with a 24-bit mask. And so it would be in its routing table as a directly connected route. Here it has the MTU of 1500 bytes, which is the default. And the bandwidth, let me get my comment, here we go, is 1 million kilobits per second, which is representative of gigabit Ethernet. And that's exactly right. And then the default delay, logically, on this interface is 10 microseconds. Does that mean that every packet forwarded in and out of this interface is always going to be 10 microseconds? No. It just means that's the default for a gig interface. And then routing protocols like EIGRP, they use the delays and sum of delays as part of their composite metric. Also, if you're new to the channel, the blueprint for CCNA does not mention by name EIGRP, but I did create 1 or 2 small videos on EIGRP that I put in the CCNA playlist here on YouTube. You're definitely going to want to check it out. All right, see here, the keep alive. Oh. See, when I look at this, I think, oh my goodness. Oh no, scared. Oh no, Mr. Bill. If you know who Mr. Bill is, that means you're over 40. Okay, or it's pop culture now, I don't know. But half duplex is not a normal thing. And so if we have a device, this is router 1, and this is gig 0/1, and if this is operating at half duplex, it's doing what's called CSMA CD. And that's a lot of acronyms, but it boils down to this. Carrier sensing is paying attention that there's a link there. Multiple access, there could be other devices that are also connected here. And collision detection. So if we're operating in half duplex, it's using that, and when it's going to send information, let's say R1 wanted to send some data on the network, it would listen first, because it's half duplex, make sure it's clear, and then it would send the packets. Now, if everybody's operating at half duplex, then everybody's listening before they send, but if this guy's operating at full duplex, let's say we have a switch port, and let's say the switch port is configured for full duplex here. That means this switch believes that it has 2 wires that it can use for sending and 2 other wires that it can use for receiving. So in a unshielded twisted pair, there's 4 pairs. 2 of them are used, 2 for sending and 2 for receiving. And with full duplex, we're expecting never to have a collision. We're expecting never to, have to wait and listen to see if it's clear. It's like having a private road. So if we have R1 that's set up with half duplex, and the switch or whatever we're connected to is set up at full duplex, this guy could be talking while we're trying to send, and there we could see collisions. So if we see collisions, which I do right here, if there's a boat load, and that I would say that's like maybe a quarter boat load, depending on the boat, but that's a lot of collisions, and that would probably reference a collision, a duplex mismatch between this port that we're looking at and whatever it's connected to. There shouldn't be that many collisions. What else do we have here? And late collisions. Let's talk about that for a moment. In the States, we have this company called Domino's Pizza. And if they're late delivering a pizza, I think there's a discount. I don't know. That's how it used to be when I was growing up. Anyway, I'm going to make a joke about being late and having a collision because you're driving recklessly. But a late collision on Ethernet networks simply says that, hey, R1 sent a packet, sent a frame of data out on the network, and it had been sent for a certain number of bits, at which point, if there was going to be a collision, it should have already happened because everybody's listening. And so if we're having a lot of late collisions, that implies that we're not seeing all the signals in time. And one reason for that is maybe we have a segment that's going further than 100 meters, which is the length for an Ethernet cable based on the spec. Now, could you get over it? Like if you did 110 or 120, could it work? Yeah, probably still would work. But if you get over that length, you're also opening up the possibility for late collisions as well. If you're operating in half duplex. If you're operating full duplex, you should never see collisions. You might see 1 or 2 like spurious things, but nothing that's significant. All right, so now that I said all that, what are the answers here? There may be a duplex mismatch, yes, and the cable may be over 100 meters. Perfect. All right, Agent Snail, first place. Here we go. Got 4 more questions. Here's question number 10. Which command generated this output? Fausto is telling me that the 30-minute guarantee for Domino's, that was ancient history. Yeah, I guess I haven't ordered Domino's pizza lately. Thank you for that. All right. Give me one moment to just do a little bit of cleanup there. And I would once again just remind everybody to join the game. The pin code's at the very bottom right. You can join the game at kahoot.it or through the Smart app or through the app on your smartphone. And that's the best way to answer. All right, so what command generated that output? It is show IP NAT statistic. Let me tell you why this is a winner. Because with NAT, there's a few elements that are going on. We have an access control list that's specifying who can be translated. We have a NAT rule. On the interfaces, we have IP NAT inside or IP NAT outside. And this command, show IP NAT statistics, is the one that's going to give us a lot of that detail right here. So in the real world, this is super important because we can see kind of everything with one output. So the interfaces for outside, interfaces for inside, the access control list saying who can permit what, and then the pool in use for handing out IP addresses, which would, and the range is .11 to .100. So it's very likely a NAT, network address translation, as opposed to PAT, because we're not overloading. We're using a pool of addresses. So great tool. And let me clear off that. And we got 36 of us who got that right. All right, next time that comes around. Also, the secret sauce to all this is hands-on practice. And if you're thinking, Keith, I don't have gear, how do I do hands-on practice? The answer is Packet Tracer, which is a free simulated networking tool from Cisco. You can get it free by going to netacad.com, signing up for a free account, downloading it for free, and then on my website, thekeithbarker.com, I've got 20 or 30 labs, and Jeremy's IT labs, he's got a ton. There's just a ton of labs out there, and you can also build labs from scratch. So hands-on practice is a great way to reinforce the skills and really learn them. Okay, Agent Snail is just right up there. We've got just a few questions left. I think we have 3 left. All right. Competition is heated. Here's question 11. It's multiple select. From this request that we're about to see, what would the server response include? All right, Techie Tech. Thanks for the heads up. And I will have this uploaded to the playlist within a couple days. So Mark is asking about setting up switch stacks and priority, etc. All the stacking and clusters of gear is beyond the CCNA. So that wouldn't be covered currently in my CCNA content here on YouTube. Primarily, it's just CCNA. All right, what would the server response include? Let's take a look real quick. Now, this is not a show command. I snuck this one in, but because I thought it was important to have, and it's a lot of output. So let's see, what is this? This is traffic going to port 80, which is the well-known port for HTTP. And the source port is just some high-numbered port that wasn't in use at the moment on the computer who generated that source port. Or if it's going through a NAT device or PAT device, that could be manipulated there too. But that's the source information. So if this request hit the web server is going to respond back, and the response is going to be to port 34622, TCP port. And the source is for the reply. The source would be from TCP port 80. They just be flipped. So I'm hoping those two answers show up on the board. Let's take a look. Source port of TCP 80 and the destination port of TCP 34622. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's continue on. I think we have 2 more. That's it. All right. And Agent Snail is 16,000 and change. Doing great. Here we go. Question number 12. It is multiple select. What is true based on the output shown? I'm looking for exactly 2 answers. All right, Sid's asking, is VRF like a part of the CCNA exam? I see a lot of people discussing it on Discord. VRF, virtual routing and forwarding instances, are fantastic and amazing and useful, but not really relevant for the CCNA. I say really, it's not on the blueprint anywhere, and it's beyond the scope of the current CCNA. So put a pin in VRFs that they're amazing and interesting, and we'll talk about more of them when we get to the professional level stuff, or when you get there. And Mr. Webster, yes, every Sunday, Pacific time, 11 a.m., this quiz happens. And from the previous screen, that was a packet capture. And Jason, regarding network simulators, simulating in a virtualized environment, like what we're going to do in production, is a great way to test everything. And so some of the big simulators that are out there would include Cisco Modeling Labs, CML. They also have they have an enterprise flavor and a personal flavor. EVE-NG is another one that can be used for that purpose. GNS3 is yet another one that can be used for that purpose. So lots of emulation. Okay, what is true? Oh, wow, nailed it. Nailed it. Wow, that's so great. You guys did great. All right, so we have 3 input errors, 2 are CRC. That's the frame check errors, and CRC is cyclical redundancy check. Good job. I was busy looking at the chats and not really focusing on this question, but the default bandwidth and delay, we talked about that in a previous question. Okay, we have one last question, so let's just have a heart-to-heart for a second. We've got one last question. So everybody who shows up to study, which is what this effectively is, who shows up to study and have some fun and camaraderie, you're winning. That's how we win in life. In IT, we just keep on going. We run into something, it's a problem, we research it, we figure it out, we solve it, and then we turn, and there's yet another opportunity to troubleshoot, problem solve, learn something new. It's all about learning and just getting better at what we do. So I want to give you my personal appreciation and applause for showing up and being part of this quiz. So good on you for that, and good on you for the studies. Every Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, we have an office hour on Discord. So if you are studying something and you want to bring a question that you've been studying, is like, how does this work? I don't quite get this. After you've been studying, bring it to the office hour and bring it up as a question. I'd be more than happy to elaborate. It's a fairly small group, like less than 100 every time. So there's a great opportunity to just listen and see what's going on and join us there. All right, without further ado, here is our final question. And it is this. Based on this output, for the last time in this quiz, what is true regarding address translation? Hey, thanks Solid Shadow for the super sticker. Appreciate you. Pawan is asking about Linux. Any type of Linux experience is going to be good if you're in the career of networking. So Red Hat is IBM's flavor, but any Linux, Ubuntu, any flavor of Linux, if you learn it, is going to be helpful. Okay, SourceNet is in use. Whoa, wow, I think we just, the last question was maybe the hardest there. Let's talk about that just for a moment. Let me grab a pen. And show IPNet translation. So this, I have a really fun video about NAT lingo. Let me tell you about this output. This output has frustrated a lot of people for many, many years, at least 2 decades from the output. Show IP, like inside global, inside local, outside global. I mean, just saying that is like, what? It's like semantic saturation where the words don't mean anything anymore. So I made a video called NAT Lingo, and it's on my YouTube channel. It's in the playlist for CCNA. like 150-ish videos there. And it goes over a great way of helping to understand what the heck these mean. And they use Larry, who is a local user, with his perspective from the inside of the network. And then they use Google, which think of Google as a big outside, resource, unless you work for Google, and then that's inside. But Google being someone on the outside who's on the global network. And it's really all about their perspectives at the translations that are happening. So inside local is the real IP, is the real IP address on the inside. And so we have a client at 10.1.10.51, and we have another client at 10.1.20.52. And to the outside world, to the global perspective, they appear as this column right here. And so this IP address on the inside is appearing as .173, and 52 is appearing as .172. That means we're not, how do you do not like this? Not doing PAT. PAT is where we're doing one IP address that everybody shares. This is representing a one-to-one mapping. This guy goes to that one, this guy goes to that one. So this would be a representation of NAT. And we're swapping out the source address as it goes out through the firewall or router in this case. And that's the result of source NAT. We're swapping out the source address on the initial translation. Lots of fun there. Okay. And Jason's saying, love the Puddles shirt. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Puddles is such a great performer and entertainer. I've seen him perform, I think, three times. And one was a very small venue many years ago before he was too famous. And it was great. Okay. Let's see how we did overall. Here is the podium. Bronze Dragon, you did it. Oh, fun times. These are our toughest. So we had 13 questions, and the toughest 5 are right here, and that's good for me as well. I'll review those later, and I'll probably could also get some feedback from you through your input device, whatever you're playing the game on, and that'd be great. That's also helpful to me. And then what I'd also like to do is, let me get my camera out. I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you have questions for me regarding CCNA, that level of topic, anything in the CCNA blueprint would be great. I'd be happy to answer those briefly. And then afterwards, it's become more of a tradition than format, but afterwards we go hang out in the Discord server for a while and just open forum, just chat in the CCNA voice room. So if you do want to join the Discord server, which is also free, just make sure if you're brand new to it, read the rules so you can know what the rules are about, just read them and agree to them. And basically it boils down to this. Please be nice to everybody. Don't say or give away or do anything that would cause harm to anybody. So read those rules and join us. That'd be great. Okay, let me bring in over my question panel here. And let me resize this. I had a great week. I've been having some good. I'm so glad here in the States where I'm at. The situation with the all the things that are going on in the world today, they're getting better here in my part of the world, and hopefully at some point everybody can get the help they need, and we can have a little bit more of normalcy. All right. So if you have a question for me right now, just go ahead and just put @KeithBarker so it shows up, and I'm just going to go ahead and look at questions like from now going forward. The 999J Strict, if that's your real name, is asking, do you use a generator on your equipment? So I don't use it. So I have solar. We have solar on the house, which pays for most of the electricity. But behind, so at the moment, the reason that Mr. Sloth Senior there is in front is I was using all 4 blade servers, and the noise was just a bit much, even with the filtering on the mic. So I put the blanket there, put Mr. Sloth there. Behind that, I do have a UPS, uninterruptible power supply. Not a big fancy one, but just one that will, if the power goes out for whatever reason, those racks will be going long enough so I can gracefully shut down everything that's going on those devices. So I use a fairly inexpensive UPS on that. Okay. Let's see if there's any other questions. If there isn't, we'll just move on. And Ashish is asking, subnet Saturday is enough. Oh, he's stating subnet Saturday is enough for CCNA. So the subnet Saturday is enough for the CCNA regarding IP addressing. So the way we apply it, so to understand it and how it works and subnetting, great. So how we apply IP addresses, that's another angle, right? Like how do we apply them on Cisco router interfaces, and how do we do a managed switch with an SVI and things like, so applying it. But as far as IP addressing and how IPv4 works and subnetting, subnet Saturday is absolutely enough to get the job done. Okay. ACHRAF, I'm going to say this, perhaps Akrof, is asking or stating, back in the days when you were studying for CC and other certs, how much time did you spend hands-on? Okay, great point. So I'll give you a quick history, and thanks for the question. So in a long time ago, in a galaxy far away, I used to not know Cisco at all. So when I first got into Cisco, there was no emulation. It was like the late 90s. And so I actually purchased 3 routers, and I purchased them online. There wasn't even online back then. So I found them through some mechanism. I ordered them, and they were used. I think it was like $5,000 in maybe it was 98. Yeah, not 89. 1998-ish. It was a lot of money. I didn't have that much money. And so I was like, I got to make this investment in myself. And so I got this gear because it was my only option. And then I realized there was no modular interfaces. So I had to buy interfaces for it because I didn't know better. And so I bought the interfaces, and that was the beginning. So hands-on was important to me. Nowadays, oh my goodness, there's so many ways to do hands-on for free. So Packet Tracer, EVE-NG, Cisco Modeling Labs, GNS3. The easiest one though, I mean, if my youngest child came to me and said, I need to learn networking, what do? I would say use Packet Tracer. It's so quick, so easy, boop, 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 no money, doesn't suck 80 watts of power per device or anything like that. So that's what I would do. Okay. ABHIMANYU is stating, I'm confused about that Wireshark output. Can you please explain that once again? So the Wireshark is just a representation of network traffic. So if you were a server, a web server, and I had a browser, I'm a client, and I'm going to send you I have a session going on. If I send my traffic to you, to your IP address at layer 3, and at layer 4 in the layer 4 header, I'm using TCP, and I send it to the well-known port of 80, the only reason that works is because you as a web server are listening. You're waiting for that traffic on that port, and it comes in. It's a web request using HTML and or using HTTP protocol. The server receives it, and then when you respond back to me, you're basically going to say, oh, this came from Keith at port 6783. I'm going to send it to port 6783. And the source port is going to be port 80. So when web servers who are using port 80 to get connected to with HTTP, when they respond, the source port's always going to be port 80. You just flip it. So you flip the source and address, both at layer 3 and at layer 4, as far as the ports are concerned. Oh, Hossein, you're very welcome. Thanks for the nice comment. Is there any way to try automation using Packet Tracer for, Sid, that's a great question. There are a lot of options in Packet Tracer. The new version is version 8 as of this recording, or as of this live stream. So I've never played with it. I think there are some tabs for something like that, but I do not know the answer to that. So for CCNA, they do want you to be aware of automation and how it works and the impact of network automation and so forth. Maybe recognize a JSON output, but not actually, configure Ansible or Puppet or Chef or actually use those tools, but more be aware of them. So if you do find out, Sid, let me know about Packet Tracer. I'm always interested. Let's see what else. What about the question about OSPF and subnetting? Not sure why the answers were correct. So, for that OSPF where it showed show IP protocols, and then it showed the network statements, and then which interfaces would be included, that's a big discussion. And so it's going to require some knowledge of IPv4 networking, including subnetting, and then also some knowledge about OSPF and how that works. So check out my videos on OSPF and the network statement, and also Subnet Saturdays to kind of get those sides of the pieces. And then once you've studied it, I'll have this up online later this week, so you can take a look at it again and find out why. It's just not a simple answer like port 21. It's not like that. It's more of several components coming together. Also, I found the exam to be very real, very fair. I mean, they were testing on, do you know how this works? And I didn't feel like there's a bunch of trick questions or like, whoa, nothing mean. It was like 100 plus questions, like 102, 103 questions, no simulations, and I thought it was pretty darn fair. All right. Sham is saying, I just started my CCNA with no Network Plus. Do you think I can understand these CCNA subjects? It depends. I used to say, yeah, anybody can learn it, but I'm going to share. Nah, I'll keep it private. Not everybody is cut out to do networking, right? I'm going to say that. Not everybody, because some people just aren't going to take to it. They don't like it. They don't get it. They don't want to get it. But I do believe that virtually everything in this life is learnable. Now, I'll never be 7 feet tall. That's not possible. I can't get a tattoo of myself on my body and make it a foot taller. Can't do it. But as far as things that can be learned, we can learn to ride bicycles. We can learn to code if you want to. You don't have to. But I mean, if you wanted to learn it, you can start with the basics and just keep on studying. You could be a Cisco engineer. You could be a Juniper engineer. You could be a firepower security engineer. Lots of options. VMware. Lots of options. So it's all learnable. So if you have interest, I don't think the Network Plus is a prerequisite for a CCNA. I don't. But for individuals who are like brand new to networking, I mean, totally new, if they did Network Plus first, that is a really good foundation upon which Cisco CCNA is going to leverage. So Network Plus from CompTIA is mostly about the basics from a mostly generic perspective of how things work network-wise. And then Cisco is primarily focused on, here's how it works, yeah, that's true, and here's how you use it on our gear. How do you apply that? So it's great. Vicky saying, you're very welcome, Vicky. Thank you. And Eduardo is saying, hugs for my family here in Brazil. Thank you very much. I know Brazil is having a tough time with the situations that are going on. And thank you for being here. And my heart goes out to you guys. So hopefully things will be better soon. Jason saying, okay, thank you, Jason. Thank you. And Blended is pointing out that you could buy a license for Cisco Modeling Labs for $200, and that's an annual subscription from Cisco. It's called the Personal Edition, but you'd want to have enough horsepower on your computer or wherever you're going to be running it to make sure you can actually, run it. I think it supports up to like 20 devices at a time or something simulated. So that's definitely an option. I have a license for Cisco Modeling Labs from Cisco. I do. And I've also got a license for EVE-NG, which is not from Cisco. And then, the whole thing is like, it's not that you're never going to get to a job interview and they're going to ask you, tell me what you think the best emulator is. This is really important for your job experience. It's like, they don't care. What they do care about is, can you troubleshoot? Can you implement? Can you learn? And how does, can you actually be a good technician? They don't give a hoot about, did you learn to drive in a simulator or a real car? Well, if that simulator was 100% like the real thing, it doesn't matter. I was in, where was I? Many years ago, I was in Maryland, I think it was. And the Navy has this huge simulator for boats. I mean, it's big. It's a full 360 with just walls of screens. And then you're on the deck of this ship, and then you can hit a button. You can make any ship you want, like a little tugboat or a huge not a battle station, battle stations, like an aircraft carrier. You could change it on the fly. In the situation, I want fog. I don't want fog. And then the whole thing is, and somebody who practices on that is going to be really, really geared up and ready for the real thing. They probably want some supervision when they're driving a multi-million-dollar vehicle, but it's a great tool, which also probably costs multiple millions of dollars to make. Let's see what else. Do I have any recommendations for home lab equipment for the CCNA and CCNP level studies? If you're doing CCNA, I would strongly encourage you, don't buy any gear unless you want to. Unless it's like, this is so fun, I just want to buy it. Great. Or if you want a puppy, great, get a puppy. Or cat, get a cat. Whatever it is. But you don't need it. I'm just being very clear. So for CCNA, just get Packet Tracer, which is free, and you can lab up virtually everything you want. Well, I can't do this. Well, there's a few little teeny corners, but they are so minor. So get packet tracer. Then for CCNP, it's going to be Cisco Modeling Labs or EVE-NG or GNS3. And all three of those have a learning curve just to get it up and working and functioning. And so what I personally use, I use EVE-NG like every day because it's just so darn convenient. That's my personal favorite. Did it take a little bit to get it dialed in and to learn it? Yes, just like everything else. But I used to use GNS3 all the time, and nothing wrong with GNS3 either. Okay. Madi is stating, I want to tell you thanks. All right. Thank you. And I got my first job as a network technician, and the CCNA helped me a lot. Oh, great, 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 great. Fantastic. And let me see what else we have. Okay, hi. This is great. If you need to drop off, thanks for joining us. But I would like to take a few more questions and hang out with you a little bit longer, and then I'll jump in the Discord server as well. This is from Surendra, and he's saying, "Hi Keith, I recently took an interview in a company with a good reputation. The interviewer asked me about ARP, which really got me confused. He said ARP performs an AND operation between source IP address and S." That's so fantastic. That's fantastic. There are different ways of looking at different things. For example, with IP addressing, you could say that to calculate the network, a computer takes the IP address in binary, and it takes the mask in binary and does a logical ANDing. And the result of that AND process is the actual network that you're currently sitting on. That helps no one. And so I've never taught it that way, and I won't teach it that way because it's like, what, do I have to be a math major? I have to start learning Boolean logic to make this work? So if I got a question about, that's fantastic. I'd have to think about that, like why somebody would say that. But if somebody asked me about ARP, I would just tell them what it does. And the way I teach, one of my secrets, and I've been teaching for a long time and I enjoy it, and I also do some consulting on the side, but mostly teaching these days, is I often start with a problem before I give the solution or the technical answer of why it happens. So for example, we could think, I just reverse it in my mind a little bit. So with ARP, Address Resolution Protocol, what problem does it solve? Well, a computer may need to talk to its default gateway to forward a frame, right? A packet of data so it can get off the local network, but it doesn't know the default gateway's address, or its layer 2 address. It knows the IP address. It learned it via DHCP, but it doesn't know the layer 2 address. So it's a problem, right? So devices need to find out dynamically what the layer 2 address is of other devices on their network if they want to communicate, short of a broadcast or something. And so to solve that, we use ARP. And with an ARP message, it's so cool. ARP says, hey, shouting out, everybody on this local network, this layer 2 VLAN, everybody who's here, I'm really interested in the person who owns 23.1.2.1. And if that's you, could you send me a response back with what your layer 2 address is? Because I really need it, because I want to send you some frames. Packets. Layer 3 is called packets. Layer 2, they're called frames. So I would just explain it. And if they ask me, if they're telling me what ARP does, I'd say, oh, that's interesting. But if they're asking me what ARP does, I would just start with the short problem of what it solves and then go into how it works. And oftentimes when you start explaining how it works, they'll go, yeah, next topic. They're just testing to see whether or not you know it or not. But yeah, interview questions are great. And sometimes they're challenging, especially if there's something you don't know. I think as companies hire individuals, they are looking for people who can be team players, because no one's an island, and also who can learn and who are also forthright. So like if they ask me a question about something I didn't know, I just say, I'm not familiar with that. Tell me more. Okay. Niranjan is asking, Keith, can you do videos on lab setup with actual gear? I've got a 7-foot pile, literally 7 feet, taller than me. Right out, this little place is right off my garage. So in my garage, it's all stacked up against a wall, and I never bring it in very often anymore, unless I'm doing like a wireless LAN controller that's doing link aggregation into a switch, and then I'll have a 3750 switch or something out there. But I'll tell you what, the physical gear, just being able to see it, touch it, is not as valuable as one might think. So in Packet Tracer, there's a physical view. If you want to see the rack of gear in Packet Tracer, you go to physical view, you go to the data, you go to the wiring closet, and there it is in a rack. And if you want to move cables around, boom, boom, move cables around. It's just a lot faster than doing it physically, and those guys boot faster. So probably not a whole bunch of physical gear labs coming up, but I've got the gear. I just doesn't make sense to use it all the time anymore. All right, Mr. Webster, a lot of good questions from you. Do you still work as a networker? Do you stick teaching? What's your most memorable troubleshooting situation in the real world? Join me on Discord, Mr. Webster, and we can have a chat about that. I'd be happy to discuss that with you. And Petco saying, why did you stop uploading these quizzes? I've got like 40 or 45 quizzes in the playlist. And so if I have a new, let's say I did something like on Spanning Tree from 5 months ago, and then now based on requests, we're doing it again, I might tweak the questions a little bit, brush them off, make sure they're solid, and then present that quiz. But if I already have an STP quiz in the playlist with mostly the same answers, mostly the same questions, I should say, I probably won't go through the additional time of taking the new quiz, spending 3 or 4 hours doing the editing, and then uploading if I've got one that's already there. So if it's a new one, like this one, I don't have an exact or a very close replica of this quiz on the playlist. So I will edit this one and add it. But so if you need a topic, so it's interesting. There's over 140 videos in the playlist for CCNA, and there's like over 40 in the quiz alone in that playlist. So I would encourage you to leverage those and use them. And if there's a topic that is not covered, which is significant, let me know, and we'll do it. Because I think I've covered a lot of, not every topic, but most of the core topics on the blueprint. I either have quizzes on and or videos in my playlist. All right, let's see what else. Do I have a video on how to use PT in general? And the answer is yes. If you go to my CCNA playlist, or just go to my channel and just do a search on my channel for Packet Tracer, you're gonna get dozens of hits, and it's all there for you. All right. Love great comments and good feedback. Thank you for everybody else helping each other. All right. Nepal's in the house. Thank you for those kind words. And Ashish is asking, there's no BGP in CCNA, right? Well, let's talk about that. In the blueprint, like the exam topics from Cisco that they publish, there's 6 modules. And one's on IPv4 routing and IPv6. There's no, it doesn't state BGP or EIGRP explicitly in the blueprint, but last time I checked, those routing protocols, which they both are, EIGRP and BGP, they both have things like administrative distance. They both have their cost or metric. And so I would say that I would study a little bit on BGP, and I have some videos in my playlist here on YouTube that cover BGP at the CCNA level. Everything in the CCNA playlist is at the CCNA level. And so I've got EIGRP and BGP in there, and I would encourage the CCNA candidate to study both at the CCNA level. So now you know. Okay, and let's see what else. So no BGP explicitly in the CCNA blueprint, but be prepared for some awareness of BGP administrative distances for external, internal, and the basic concepts of what makes a external BGP neighborship. I've got videos on that. Okay, let's see what else. Vicky's doing some great. Thank you, Vicky, for answering all those questions. I have my CCNA and currently working as a configuration technician, mostly doing mobile device management stuff. Do you think I should leave this job for growth? I'm staying away from that one. Life is interesting, right? So thing is that if we have no skills, we have less options. That's true. And if you have more skills, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes we're going to have more options than if we had no skills. So if you have some skills and you can build on those and make them better and do a job that you really enjoy doing, fantastic. But just to leave just because, you want to leave may not be the best decision. So my career, which has been since 1980, I went to technical school in 1985. And in 1985, just right after electricity was invented, I got my first job at EDS, and I was there for a year or two. And then I went to Blue Cross of California, was there for a few years. And then after that, I went to Paramount Pictures for a few years. But none of my jobs lasted for more than except the one I'm currently in, lasted for more than 2 or 3 years. And here's why. It wasn't because I didn't like them, but I outgrew them. That's literally what happened. I outgrew them. I kept studying. I kept getting better at what I was doing. I took my zero knowledge and I made it good. And then I took my good knowledge, I made it better. And I took my better knowledge, I made it the best I possibly could with what I had to work with. And so I just kept on increasing my skills, and those opportunities, based on where I lived and all that good stuff that's going on, the opportunities were present, and I took them. And so I don't think I ever had a job more than 3 years before I started working like at Mastering Computers and KnowledgeNet, some of those companies. And then I think maybe it was 4 or 5 years there. And now I'm at CBT Nuggets. That's my job. It's a great job, by the way. We work with an amazing team of trainers, and we make all different kinds of content there. CBT Nuggets is a paid-for service, so it's subscription-based. It's all paid for. You have to pay for subscriptions. And so I've been there for like 8 years, and it's amazing. So that's the longest job I've ever had. But going back to us, as starting off, I would just increase your skills. If something looks super amazing to you, learn it. If there's a possibility you could get a job doing it, that is. Like if it's something like, oh, that's like nuclear physics, I'm going to study. I don't have any opportunities in my world to get a job as a nuclear, scientist or anything. I don't have the skills either. But if I started learning those, I guess I could move to those. But I would say find something that's super interesting to you and then get really good at it and then keep getting better at it and keep studying it and then move in that direction. Like I remember in the 80s, late 80s, when networking was just like brand new, like local area networking, not IBM mainframe networking, but local area networking. And I thought it was Novell. David Nelson was the person doing the networking at the time. It was cutting edge, coax cable with T connectors. And I thought, man, I like this. It was so darn cool that a person could sit at a computer over there and access a file sitting on a server over there. And there's like this magic that makes it happen. I thought, I want to learn that magic. And so that's where I started my networking journey. So thank you, David Nelson. I'm not sure where you are these days, but he was my inspiration when I had my first IT job, one of my first jobs at Blue Cross of California, and getting going. All right. That was a little sidetrack. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Daniel's saying, oh, so close. All right. So Daniel took his CCNA yesterday. Oh, got a really good score, but it wasn't enough. I will rebook in a month. Awesome. I know what that feels like, Daniel. From personal experience, I have failed exams before. My most painful fail was I got my CCIE in routing and switching back in 2001, a long time ago. We had token ring switches and data link switching and all ATM, not the kind you get money out of. And so I got my first CCIE. I got my first try. It was a 2-day exam, passed it, only because I studied for like 8 months. It was vicious. Then for my second CCIE, which is 2 years later, it was in security. So I thought, I've got my CCIE already. I'll just brush up on the security stuff and do it. And I went back for that second exam and I got my lunch handed to me. And I failed it based on that attempt based on BGP. I learned BGP really, really well for the first exam. And then I kind of let the skills fade over a year or two and thought they were still good, but they weren't great. And I failed it on BGP, and I failed it again. I scheduled it like a month or two later, failed it again. And I finally said, I'm done. Get me the world's smallest violin. I'm not taking this exam again. And then I had somebody who is wiser and smarter and patient who said, Keith, you should probably go for it again. And so I buckled down. I said, I'm taking responsibility for this. I failed the exam. Maybe it's not fair. It wasn't fair. Still not fair. Life isn't fair. I just get over that part. And I just buckled down and I started really studying again in earnest for a few months. And I learned the technology better than I'd ever done before. So it was totally worth it. It was a win. Although taking the exams, thousands of dollars each attempt, and I didn't, So anyway, I passed it third time for the CCIE for security. So I took the exam 4 times total for CCIE, got 1 route switch, and got 1 security and failed it twice in between there. All right, and Profil is just saying, regarding Subnet Saturday, I feel proficient in subnetting. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Everybody I talk to who goes through those 11 videos. And I'm going to make one more on supernetting and add it to it as well. But everybody goes through those 11 videos for Subnet Saturday, walks away saying, yeah, I get it. I can do this. So that's perfect. Okay. Great comments. Good. Let's see if there's anything else. The easiest way, Vicky's saying the easiest thing about CCNA is to fail. So organize with Keith's content and don't restrain yourself with the time margin. Thank you, Vicky. She was responding to somebody else. Good. Thank you. Let's see if there's anything else I need to respond to live. Let's see here. Got some great feedback for other people. And let me see what else. Oh, some great comments, great ideas from Joshua and Daniel and others. Thank you. And let's see. All right. Rudra is from India. Welcome. So good to have you. And I just started learning networking, and your content is, thank you. Glad you're here. And let's see what else. Blendinator saying, what's the AD for internal BGP? Can somebody answer that for Blendinator? It's not 20. It's like 10 times worse. It's terrible. All right, thank you for that. All right, and Anuri is saying, can we do a packet tracer lab regarding QoS? I haven't played with QoS in packet tracers. I don't know what that is. Oh, and then Vicky, thank you very much. Vicky saying, iBGP is 80 of 200 and external BGP is 20. Fantastic. Thank you, Vicky, for that. And let's see what else is there. Roger is asking about a good roadmap for cybersecurity. Come and hit us up in Discord for that, if you would. And let's see what else. Okay, I think we've gotten everything. Just do another quick check here. Thank you, Profil, for the nice comment. And Shama saying, where do you go after you get your CCIE? Disney World. That's a joke based on the commercials. I don't know if they do that anymore. Like they take the winner of the NFL Super Bowl and they say, what are you going to do? I'm going to Disneyland or Disney World. There's some architect and some CCDEs and other things like that. But I'm not going for another CCIE. I mean, there's other things to learn like data center and so forth, but plenty of opportunity. I've gotten a few additional certifications with Cisco on some of their products like SD-WAN and so forth, but there's other vendors out there too. So Big IP from F5 and products like Citrix has a whole suite of things that are really cool. Juniper does as well. Palo Alto makes some really great firewalls. So there's lots of other things as well. What is that cool thing moving in the background? That thing. That is a perpetual motion machine that I saw on Iron Man, and I bought one of the Iron Man movies, and I just bought a little teeny version of it from Amazon. So I have in my videos, I've got a link to my affiliate store, which is mostly because people would ask me, what is this and what do you use? And if you click on my affiliate store, if you buy something there, I think I get like a percentage or two possibly of what's purchased. But the reason I have it there is so that you can just go and look. And it has a listing of all my YouTube gear, what I use, including that thing. So if you're interested in my cameras or my lighting or the computers or the screens or mics, or most of it, virtually all of it is from Amazon, and it's in that YouTube gear. So check it out if you're curious. All right. And Vicky's saying BGP was in CCNA 6, and the current flavor of CCNA, which is 200-301. I already talked about BGP. We want to be aware of that. Okay, let's see here. And somebody's asking, what is the Discord pin? There shouldn't be a pin. So there's an invite link in this description of this video. If you click on that, I don't think there's a pin required. If not, I'll find out and let you know, but it shouldn't be a pin required. All right, Sam, you're very welcome. All right. And some other kind comments. I think I'm almost near the end. All right. Tikara, Tikaraj, is saying, I'm from Nepal. Awesome. I watched your videos several times and passed the CCNA. Thank you for the great inspiration. Well, thank you for letting us know. It's so good to have you here. I appreciate the feedback. And Raphael, great kind comments as well. And all right, I think. And then Narajan is asking, can you do a video on firewall setup and configuration? Unfortunately, because it's not on the blueprint for CCNA, I do teach firewall technologies, the Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Cisco's, I used to do Cisco ASAs, now Cisco Firepower, but all that content I do as part of my work at CBT Nuggets. So on YouTube, it's all CCNA focused these days, very focused. Also, the good news is, let's say a year from now, you're like, you know what, I want to brush up on my CCNA and the fundamentals. Come back, join. You're part of the alumni. Come on back and enjoy the quizzes or check out the playlists. They're all free. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for hanging out with me for, how long has it been? Wow, like an hour and 20 minutes or 25 minutes this morning. I'm in the Pacific time zone. So when I post on my social media about quizzes and other events coming up, they're always in the Pacific time zone. So adjust your time zone accordingly. And if you can make it, if it's convenient, we'd love to have you. So I'm going to send you out with a little bit of music, and I will edit this video. It's recording. I was just double checking that. I'm going to edit this. Hello. I'm going to edit this and make it as tight as possible. I'll probably take all this dialogue that we had at the end, and that's just for us in this live stream. And then I'll package it, and I'll put it in the playlist on YouTube. All right. Be kind to everybody. Practice and study like your life depends on it. Enjoy yourself. Help others. And life is short. We all have a very finite amount of time. And I don't care what background we come from or what experiences we have. Time is our limiting factor that we all share. And so make the most of your time. If you start studying now and you say, I'm going to dedicate 2 hours a week or 1 hour a day or whatever you can reasonably allocate, and just do it and just put your head down a little bit and just go to work. It's totally worth it. It's amazing what can be done after 6 months or 4 months or 3 months of study. Just consistent, gradual, no drama. If you are a drama person, I understand. I do. I get it. However, when it comes to studying and talking about studying, no drama. Don't. Oh, I'm going to study for 14 hours. Just do it. If you're going to study for 14 hours, just do it. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about what you're going to do. Just do it. And that's the secret. So also 14 hours is extreme. So just small, consistent efforts in the direction you want to go, and you're going to make a lot of progress. I have a lot of people in my life who've looked at me and said, whoa, how did you get, it's like time, right? How did you get your CCNA? 8 months of studying, 4 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week. That's how I got it. Or XYZ. How did you get good at this? I studied. And that's the secret in labbing it up. All right. I just keep talking. So I'm going to go ahead and put on an exit video for you. And thank you all for participating. And I'll be in the Discord server in the CCNA voice chat room just to hang out. Very casual if you want to join us there. It is a free-for-all. So anybody can say anything they want. But you do need to follow the rules on the Discord server. So just make sure you're kind to everybody, not disclosing what you saw on an exam, for example. That's not okay. And it's a great community. Hope to see you there soon. All right. Bye for now. Are you still here? Bye.